would I buy this property? So I found this place in Beenleigh. So Beenleigh is just here. There's Brisbane, and it is, as the crow flies, we can measure, it's about 30 Ks out of the Brisbane CBD, about halfway to the Gold Coast as well. Like, a lot of people will move there just due to its proximity. So it's 33 Ks away from the GC, and I've just pinned the GC there. That is Southport. A lot of tradies have moved into this area, and it's because of that commute. So you can get back to Brizzy, or you can go to the Gold Coast for work. But having a look at this particular property, it has gone under offer, and yeah, property prices are moving pretty quickly in here. But in terms of where it's located, so Beenleigh is, yeah, again, it's that in and out type of property or location, and people are moving there because there's renovation opportunities. So tradies, as I mentioned before, moving there, putting some new floors down, new kitchen, new bathrooms, they're turning them around. So price increases through Beenleigh have been significant over the last 4 to 5 years. I'm talking a $300,000 property is now circa $650,000. So this one is not too far from the train station. So you've got Homeview Station just there. It's not too far. Again, a bit of a trick if you're looking at anything on a map. So we can just go back to the address here, and we can pull it into Google Maps. And we can see that property, and we can start measuring distances. So the train line, I know this is as the crow flies, and you can adjust it as well if you wanted to do it exactly based on street and how you would get there. Yeah, it's 705 meters away from that particular property. Walking distance is considered 1.6 Ks. That would easily be walking distance to the train line. And it's not too close to the train line as well. I get asked, when is a property too close? So you just right click on Google Maps and you'll get measure distance. So it's a really handy little tip. The other one that I like to use is on Google Maps. If you hold the shift button, you can actually go sideways like this. So it's pretty cool to get a bit of a lay of the land, and you might be able to see some mountains. It just gives you a very different aspect. I try to do as much due diligence from the laptop. If this is a property that I'm looking at and I want to check it out before I inspect it in person, I'm doing a lot of this stuff. I'm looking here. I want to seek out what this is. There's a lot of cars and stuff. So what's going on here? You can obviously go to Street View as well. One of the key signs for me is maintained lawns. This is an area that's gentrifying, and I'll show you another tool in a moment. That is a paid tool, but it just gives you some really good insights to what's happening in that area. But yeah, you just want to see, how do people live there? Not from are they rich, are they poor? It's more, how do they maintain, and are they house? That's probably one of the key things. Are they house proud? That is like a key indicator for me. I do look at cars, believe it or not. Like, I look at the car quality. So that's not too old of looks like a Mitsubishi Outlander or something. This is a Cruise. So it's a little bit older. There was an old Ute back here. So this is a 2025 picture. Looks like a lot of people are going out during the day. There's an old Holden Commodore there. Looks like a Ford Escape or something up there, or a Mazda. Car types are a little bit older, which again, to me, just means that the area is going through a bit of a change. The map that I was referring to before, so we can put in that address again, and we can go and check this property out. As I was saying before, like the property timeline, 300,000, it was sold in 2020. So 300K sold again in 2024 for an extra $100,000. And now they're asking 600, right? So offers over 600. So this property has doubled in price in 5 years. This property has doubled in 5 years. So tons and tons of growth, 85%, right? Like 85% growth. So you'll see these AVMs, automatic valuations. You'll see them on realestate.com. Please take them with a grain of salt. So if I look at this particular property and I'm going through and I'm looking at some planning due diligence, there's no flooding, there's no bushfire, there's no heritage, there's no biodiversity issues. What does that mean? In Brisbane, like typically when you're looking in the Brisbane market, so this is our subject property, and we will put over a couple of layers. So again, this is a paid subscription, and yeah, it does just give you that next layer of information. With Brisbane being known for flooding, if we zoom right out, this is the flood map for the whole of Brisbane, the whole of Logan. So there are a lot of flood problems, right? Like it does flood up there. So all of this is like all housing, right? So yeah, anywhere through here, you're going to have issues. But typically when I'm looking at this, I just want to understand how far away, like this, it's probably going to be okay if you buy in these areas. These will be different height gradients. So, you know, that'll be a 1 in 50 year flood and this might be a 100-year flood. What are the issues with buying this property from a flood perspective? Not really any issues. So I'm looking at the site in terms of the square meters of it. So I think this was 622. It is a wider site, so it's a wider block of land. Typically, that's something that a developer might look at. So they might look at that because they can fit two side by side. And that's probably why it had that land valuation done on it a couple of years ago. So going back to the free portals, looking at this property in particular, it's a bit grim inside. There's not too much that is right with it in there. Maybe the oven is a little bit newer. The sink doesn't look too bad, but the rest of it is looking pretty dreary. Flooring, tiles coming off everywhere. It's probably leaking. There's holes down here like someone's booted in the walls. Yeah, it's looking a bit grim. But again, this property they're asking for offers over. And I know that the way these agents are operating in this particular area, they are selling properties over that range. And the best way to find out what is happening at a sold perspective is just to go to the sold tab. So realestate.com has great information just under that sold tab. And you'll hear me bang on about this forever. Anytime I do these property evaluations, I'm always straight to the sold list. So they don't always have a price on there. Again, there are some platforms that we can get a hold of to look what has sold and the pricing on those sold properties. But this is the easiest way to get an understanding of what things are selling for. So it's double story, that one in particular. If it doesn't have a price, we just pick up the phone and we call the agent. It's very easy just to pick up the phone. But let's just have a look at this one, all right? I think this is probably going to be the closest, and it sold in the 15th. So it was only less than a month ago. The first thing I want to do is just check where it is. So the other one was down here. It was Tweed Street. So this one is up a little bit further away, and it's actually outside. If we go to the next layer, so if we're wanting to put in some additional layers just to understand what's happening there at social housing. So this is in a social housing SA1, typically what the census is built around. And you can see here that that particular pocket, it does have a higher amount of social housing. And the one that we're looking at second, this Beverley Street one, it's right up the top there. So if we look on the way that road curves around, it's in this pocket here. And it's outside of the commission area or the social housing area. It does look like it might be a bit close to the flood zoning though, because the flood, I think that's the house there. So it's like half in the flood. Yeah, if it's that first house. This property's probably got a much nicer interior. So if we flick to the inside, look, it's not that much greater, to be honest. It looks like either lino floors or tiles from the bloody 80s that haven't been updated. The bathroom's been updated. It's got this little sunroom. I know that's still the sunroom. It's pretty, look, I wouldn't say it's miles ahead of the other one. And it's on a smaller block. So when I look at this 599 and then this one sold for 700 and something, 750, right? So $150,000 more than the subject properties. I'm going to be thinking that this property is mid sixes to high sixes, to be honest, because how much of a dramatic impact is this going to have from the social housing aspect? Like, how bad is it? I don't know. Like, we would have to do some further investigation on that. I've literally just picked this property out of a hat. So we would have to figure out what and how bad that social housing is. This is from an owner-occ perspective or an investment perspective. What does that look like? Can you walk down the street? Does it feel like you're going to get stabbed when you're walking down the street? From here to there, if we look at it from a driving perspective, wait, let me get my bearings. So we're that way. As the crow flies, I think it was right next to this Trinity College, Beverley Street. So it's 1.3K away. And if you were going to drive it, it's probably I don't know if you're going out on the highway there to get to this place, but it's 2Ks away, right? Like it's about a 2K drive. That is a fair amount of distance. If we're looking from good to bad, you're going to have some variance there for sure. But in terms of this massive price difference, I would be looking at this as a potential opportunity because, yeah, going to that next layer, checking out if you've got to do a building and pest inspection, you've got to do a street assessment. How bad is it? Is this like some meth lab that you have to rip out all the walls? If you're not afraid to get hands-on and dirty and you're in the hunt for a project with serious potential, welcome to 13 Tweedland Street. But yeah, they're selling it as an investor flip. If you want a project that you can capitalize and get some price growth on, it's the property for you. If I'm looking at these two side by side, that 150 price variance doesn't make sense. I would say that if you were to buy this property for $599, which I don't think you would, it's probably selling around that 650 mark, maybe 680. It's going to get up to that 680 mark. It seems like a good opportunity. So yeah, my initial thoughts at this stage, I would pursue it. I would go to the next layer and start to understand this property a little bit more. But yeah, from the outset, this one would move to the next stage. Hope that helps. We are going to be doing a lot more of these and a heap of other tips and tricks for first home buyers and first time investors, how to assess properties, how to get an understanding of what properties are good, how to evaluate properties as well. But stay tuned and we've got more coming. So see you on the next one.